when I began to study tabla, that just was like completely wrong. My teacher would get upset at me if I didn't phone in every day, if I didn't come by, if I didn't get some, help him with something. There was a lot of work to do, and so I was part of that. It took me quite a while, to really understand the significance of that behavior, that tradition. But once I became serious enough and embraced it, it blossomed in a way I never would have expected. And so that now means more to me than all the music that I learned, that relationship.
Being a mallet player, I keep trying to find different things that I can play melody on with sticks. I mean, I got involved with the cymbalum because it was played with cotton mallets. And then I went to Iran and I picked up a santur, and there's one from China. So I got involved with all those stringed instruments. But then I just started making instruments. I have tuned sake bottles. I mean, the big magnums, that sound beautiful. And I've got tiles from the roof that make a beautiful marimba. They are so lovely, you can't believe it. There's an instrument this guy made called the flapamba, which is like a marimba. It's so liquid, it's scary. It's just so liquid. And I've commissioned Leonis to duplicate it, and we've been working for a year and a half, and we just can't quite get it yet. But let me just say this also. And I encourage all students, a lot of times a composer will write an instrument, a percussion instrument out front, boom, so he wants to hear this weird sound. He never thinks about marrying those instruments together. There are so many instruments in percussion that if married together could create sounds that synthesizers could never make. I mean, we have such an array of sounds to marry that no one has even scratched the surface yet, because they want to hear that instrument out front. But you start marrying the skins with the woods, with the metals, and you can come up with colors that synthesizers could never do. Staying organic is important, because there's a whole world that hasn't been explored yet.
Organic and acoustic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any last questions? Anyone else? Last one. Go ahead.
I hope I can make this make sense.
Okay.
Is there a danger that a lot of this music that we're discussing can be over-academicized and somehow preserved in amber and lose its organic spiritual quality if we're not extremely careful with it?
Did you say overemphasized? Is that what you said?
Over-academicized.
Over-academicized.
Yeah.
In other words, it eventually become like the Western tradition, where it's all the ink on the page, and lose its heart.
I personally haven't experienced that, but maybe that question could go to Sopan here, who's one of the dudes, and
Bob.
No, I mean, Sopan is he's from India. He's experienced it from the Indian side. Now he's taught many, many Westerners his art. Mm-hmm. So what is the experience there? And as far as it becoming over academicized, is that what you said? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's bound to happen. It's like, if you walk through a beautiful forest and you walk on a particular path and you say, hey, there's that beautiful forest. You damn right, next guy's going to walk out there. And then there's another guy who's going to tell another guy. So I don't know if that's the right analogy, but it's kind of like that. Like people want to have that beautiful experience, and I don't personally think that what has happened has been anything wrong. It's yeah. No, I mean that's sure. Maybe there's something out there somewhere. Maybe one person is using it for some weird reason. I can't imagine what that is, but I personally don't know don't know where that is or how that could be. And I think it's just paying honor to those particular arts that I mean, like when I first met Sopan, I knew who he was. I'd heard him play. As a matter of fact, I remember hearing him play the first time I forget that hall. I was sitting up in the balcony with about a bunch of other people, and he started out this one stroke that we all learned is called dere, where you make this kind of motion with your hand. And he started out in one tempo, and he played there for a minute, and all of a sudden, bam, he doubled the tempo, and I went, oh! And everybody was like, whoa, okay, you know? And it's like, you get to where you're going to get eventually. You know, I can't do that like he does, but I can do something maybe 2 steps under that, and his son can do that maybe 1 step under that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just a beautiful experience, man. It really has always been a beautiful experience. Plus, like I said before, the food is great.
It's a nice vindaloo. If it's okay, actually, I have a slight answer for that based on what Ustad Zakir Hussain said in an interview. There was a gentleman in here who did an interview with him several years ago that talked about non-traditional techniques or strokes. And he basically says, what is that? Because he's an experimenter anyway. He's, the tabla developed by all these teachers exploring the sounds. And I think that was a really, I think that interview came out 7 years ago, and it still rings with me as him just kind of like questioning the question itself, because the process is organic and grows. That was his take. Janet.
I don't belong on this panel at all. I'm very
And she's been a great help at having this happen, so thank you, Janet.
I have to say, I really don't fear the over-academicization. Never mind, belong. I don't fear that we could overstudy these musics, because if you look at the Western music tradition, as soon as it got too academic and too much under the microscope and codified and all of this, everybody busted out and played some other kind of percussion and did something with it. I think there's always going to be the element of a true musician that is going to, at some point, say, okay, but now I need to breathe and remember what music is about. And these 3 gentlemen are a wonderful example. And what heartens me, and I'm just a cellist, what would I know, but what heartens me is the number of people coming to these conventions and walking out with techniques, and then they're going to do stuff with it. There's no way you're going to keep all these people under a microscope, and you're not going to get them all on a CD-ROM either. So I don't have any fears of that. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it makes me so happy to see everybody still doing it after John and I kind of went, okay, we're going to set aside this, let it bloom.
And I want to thank y'all for coming out. Thank you, Janet. That's an excellent point. I want to thank y'all for coming out. I want to especially thank these 3 wonderful and very influential musicians.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank many who were not here, many teachers who were also in those ranks at the time, who we went down list. Kenyon was very helpful, and B. Michael Williams, who just left, was very helpful. We tried to come up with a list of all these people we should bring up here, and the list got extensive fairly quickly. There's been a lot of people who influenced us. So those who aren't here, we want to acknowledge them. But also all of you guys for coming here and asking these questions and taking in this great information.
Thank you.